This is a short video on how to take tests online in eCampus in your course. This course uses Respondus Monitor Lockdown Browser, which requires a PC, either Apple or Microsoft, and a webcam. And you can use built-in webcams, or you can purchase one that connects through your USB port for about $10 or $15 at most stores. There is an online video. There's probably a link in your eCampus course on your testing page that gives you, as you can see, it's only a couple minutes, but it gives you a quick overview of what happens during testing. So I suggest that you go there and watch that video. You can simply do a search in YouTube, as you can see here at the top of the screen, Respondus Monitor student video, and just go ahead and watch that. It's very short, but it'll give you some sense of what's going to happen. There is a sample test in eCampus specifically aimed to allow you to experience testing without anything at risk. This is not graded. It's really just to do two things. One, it's to help make sure that your computer that you plan to use in the course is set up well before the first test due date. The other thing is to give you some experience in what it's going to feel like checking into the test and taking a test in this course. This test is probably about 15 minutes long at most, and again, it's not graded. It's not part of your course grade. It is graded in there if you want to go back and look to see how you review a test as well. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is, if you click on the sample test, you can go to the testing folder in eCampus, click on the sample test, and you'll see this page. And at the bottom, you'll see where you can download the latest version of the lockdown browser, which includes the Respondus Monitor lockdown browser. So you want to download that to your PC, and then you want to launch the lockdown browser and take the sample test. This will show you if you can go through all the steps, if it's recording you, if you do the check-in, etc. Then you'll see that that what it's like to test, and you'll know that your computer is set up. You have 10 attempts to access the sample test, just in case you're having any problem setting it up. So there's multiple attempts for this test. You can just keep using them. And again, it's not graded. Also note, if you have any issues, you can contact technical support at, this is the Respondus Monitor technical support. You can see a little chat window down there. You can I think you can either chat or call them, etc. It's really important that you make sure your PC is set up before the first test is due. This sample test will not be available on that day of the due date of the first test. You need to take this prior to that test just to make sure it's set up. It is in your calendar, it is in your system to alert you that you should take this, and I suggest you take it in the first week of class, giving you plenty of time to take your test. So once you're in the test, you got everything set up technically, what are the rules, etc. So our tests are taken in eCampus using the Respondus Monitor lockdown browser. They need to be completed by 11:59 Central Standard Time on the due date. All the due dates are in WebAssign or potentially in another package that you might be using, like MyLab Math, etc. And there are no extensions on tests unless you request them with a valid reason prior to the due date. And this is a good work and life lesson, that you should never let a due date pass without either completing it or communicating prior to that due date. Everyone's going to miss some kind of deliverable date in our life, in our work, etc. But you always want to communicate before missing that date. And that's the only way I will provide an extension, except in extremely rare conditions. So if you know that you're struggling with meeting a due date, you need to communicate that as soon as possible and try to negotiate a possible extension, but I will tell you extensions are rare. You are allowed to have scratch and work paper. Respondus Monitor does something called a environmental scan where you scan your work area. During this process, you need to scan both sides of all work paper that you're using. So hold it up, make sure you shake it so you can see it's a single page, and move on as part of your environmental scan. You are allowed a TI-84 calculator and a writing tool. There really should be nothing else on your work surface. You should not have your phone nearby. You should not have any textbooks nearby. There should be, really, you should be alone. Obviously, if you need to take it in a public place like a Starbucks, that's fine, but you should not be engaging with other people during the test, within reason. Obviously, if someone from Starbucks comes by and asks you if you need anything, that's not going to be an issue. But if you're communicating with someone else, you could be disqualified from the test. You're not allowed any notes. You're not allowed any books. You're not allowed any phones. You're not allowed any other devices during the test. You are not supposed to leave your computer while you're taking the test. So make sure you go to the restroom, etc. beforehand, and you have everything you need once you begin the test. You are not supposed to be interacting with others. I understand you might have a little brother at home or family members that might be in the room, etc. Just alert them that you're taking a test and need to not be disturbed during that time. There are no formula sheets. If there is a formula sheet for any course, and I have very few of them, I will alert you to that before each test. When you're ready to take the test, do not wait till the last hours of the due date. If you have any technical problems and you cannot finish the test, then that's on you because you waited till the last minute. I will not extend tests if you started the test at 11 and couldn't access your Respondus Monitor lockdown browser. Make sure you're ready to take the test before opening. Take a restroom break, clear your desk, have your calculator, your photographic ID with your name on it, scratch paper, etc. Open the test landing page in eCAMPUS. Again, maybe start no later than 6 p.m. to be sure that the Respondus Monitor and your PC is working okay and that you have time enough to access technical support if needed. Start the test. Respondus Monitor check-in is first. You'll need to show your ID. You'll then need to film the entire desk area, your chair, and the room, and then I'll film both sides of any scratch paper. Take the test. At the very end of each test, there's an opportunity for you to take take pictures of your scratch paper. I highly recommend this, though it is not required. I recommend it because if you want me to review specific questions on the test and you say, well, I had it right on my scratch paper, but you didn't submit it as a picture at the end of the test, then I will not be able to use that as valid proof. Finally, if you have any testing issues, for example, it says you cannot log into the test, password required. This sometimes happens if your lockdown browser is not activated. So click the test page and try to start the test. You also can go into the test and re-download the lockdown browser. If the internet kicks you out during a test or the test freezes, close all your browser windows. You might clear your history and re-log back into eCampus and then take the test. It's set up so that you can immediately log back in, but the timer is running, so you want to do this relatively quickly. Any issue you cannot resolve, contact by phone tech support at Respondus Monitor Lockdown Browser or Dallas College. They are available 24/7 and can resolve most issues in minutes. I cannot resolve your issues if it's a technical issue where you can't access the test. So it does not help you to call me. It certainly doesn't help you to email me because of the time delay between when you're trying to access the test and potentially the due date. If there is something I need to do, typically technical support will alert you and me both to that. I think that should give you, finally, sorry, after the test, you can review your test only after the due date. You go to the eCampus testing folder, click on your specific test, Click on the drop-down arrow next to the test and select View Submissions. Then you'll need to select Launch Lockdown Browser to go back into your test. Once you've done that, you can ask me for a special review and potentially additional partial credit on specific questions. You must review your test, or you must request a review of your test before beginning the next test. So for example, if you want me to review test number 1, you need to send that request prior to taking test number 2. You need to send me one email. It needs to have your full name. It needs to have the course number you're taking. It needs to have the course section. I often teach multiple sections of the same course. And it needs to have the test number you want reviewed. After that, identify each question you want reviewed with one sentence for each number in the problem on why you think you deserve partial credit. For example, you might put, I put answer in decimal form, not fraction form as directed. Okay, so I do review these. I am open to giving partial credit when I believe it's warranted, and I will always respond to your email letting you know which questions I awarded more points, how many points, and potentially a rationale why I selected the number of points. So this is enough to get you started and give you an overview, and you can always come back and watch this video again.